Okay, thank you. Right. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee, 25th of May 2022 at North Norfolk District Council. My name is John Rest. I'm one of the
My name is Dr. Mali. I am the legal advisor for today's hearing. I think, obviously, thank you for the introductions, everyone. I will just explain this again. I'm the legal advisor, and we're here today to consider a application in respect of the Woodyard, Woodstead Park, Woodstead in Norfolk. Postcode is NR289RT. Is that correct? Can I just double check with you that you've received the necessary papers that everyone should have?
Yes.
Thanks. Can I just acknowledge with the chairman that he has taken note of all the attendees at today's hearing?
we have.
Okay, perfect. I will outline how today's hearing is going to go, so please bear with me. So the order is going to follow. The licensing officer will present his report to the subcommittee. They will also make reference to any relevant policies or statutory guidance. Thereafter, the applicant will have the opportunity to speak, followed by any responsible authorities. Then the members of the subcommittee will have the opportunity to ask any questions of the licensing officer. Thereafter, the applicant will have an opportunity to put forward their case, and then the chair will invite any questions from the panel, and then the licensing officer will be able to ask questions of yourself, responsible authorities. Any other persons can ask questions of the applicant, so that will refer to any potential objectors, and then members of the subcommittee can then again cross-reference and ask any questions of either the objectors or the applicant purely based on what they've said in relation to the applicant. So if the applicant has any witnesses, he is invited to call them as he seems fit. The chairman has discretion in relation to what questions can be asked of that particular witness, or questions which can be directed to the applicant himself. There are no responsible authorities here, so I'll skip that point. So the other persons, after the applicant has spoken, will be invited to make an opportunity to present their own case in relation to the application. They are able to call any witness. I don't think you have any witnesses here, so you do have the opportunities available to you. Thereafter, the chair will invite any questions from the panel, and then I believe the licensing officer can ask any questions of yourselves, and the applicant can ask any questions of yourselves. And then the last call will be to the members of the authority. The same process is followed for any relevant witnesses. And then after that process is over, the chair will sum up. And towards the end, the panel will have the opportunity to ask any party any questions in relation to what's been said, or any potential points, any clarification on. After that, the panel will retire and consider the matter in private. At that point, the hearing will end, and you'll be allowed to leave, and you will receive a determination, a decision notice within 5 working days of today, essentially. So I hope that's clear for everyone. I will now pass back to the chair.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so first of all, we'll start with the licensing officer. We'll hand over to James Windsor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My job is to present the report to the licensing subcommittee. So my report starts on page 102 of your bundle. So North Norfolk District Council is the licensing authority, and we have to administer the functions of the Licensing Act 2003, where we have an application for a premises license and there are objections which can't be resolved. We are obliged to bring that before committee for them to make a decision about the application. When thinking about the Licensing Act, everything centres around the 4 licensing objectives, which are namely the prevention of crime and disorder, ensuring public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. So the matter that's before you today is the application that we've received from Worcester Farms Limited for a new premises licence. The application form is in the bundle and can be seen at page 121 of the bundle. In addition to the application form, the applicant submitted quite a comprehensive method statement which sets out how the premises are currently and would continue to be run. That particular document starts at page 145 of your bundle. There is an index there as well, so if there's a particular matter that you want to refer to, there is an index on page 147. So the application before you seeks to allow the premises to be licensed for the following functions. So it seeks for the opening hours to be Saturday to Sunday, 0800 to 23:55. For live music, Saturday to Sunday, 0800 to 2300 hours. Recorded music, Saturday to Sunday, 0800 to 23:55 hours. And the sale of alcohol on premises, Saturdays and Sundays, 0800 to 23:55 hours. Section 3 of the report details the mandatory conditions which legally have to be applied to all licenses that are granted. And then at section 3.2, which is on page 105 of the bundle, there are a number of conditions that would ensure that the operating schedule that's been submitted by the applicant would go on as conditions and would be enforceable matters. So they are prominent and clear notices being displayed at all exits in the beer garden, requesting customers to respect the needs of local residents as they leave the premises and the area quietly. The designated premises supervisor or a nominated representative shall receive and respond to complaints throughout the duration of any events and will have full control at all times over sound amplification. There's a condition about video equipment being installed inside and outside the premises and maintained in working order. I think, sir, that condition would need a bit of rewording to make sense. I think it should make reference to CCTV in particular in there. And similarly, I think that condition set out at point D would also need some modification were it to be applied to the license, in that it should refer to CCTV tapes being retained for a minimum period of 28 days and being produced to an authorised officer on demand. And then finally, any person selling or supplying alcoholic drink under the authority of a personal licence will ask for photo ID of age where they have reason to suspect that the individual may be under the age of 18 years old. So in response to the application that we received, we heard back from a number of the responsible authorities that are routinely consulted. Trading standards, there was no response from. The fire service came back to say that they had no objections. There was no response from the Home Office, no response from our food colleagues, from the licensing team, and there were no objections. However, they asked that a number of conditions would be included, including the Challenge 25 policy and proof of ID, that notices would be displayed asking people to leave the area quietly, that CCTV would be deployed indoors and outdoors, and that there would be a list of appropriate contact details on site. We had no response from the Child Safeguarding Board, No response from our environmental protection colleagues who deal with noise-related issues at the council. Nothing heard back from planning, nothing heard back from Primary Care Trust, and the police said that the conditions that were offered in the application on the basis that they were incorporated into any subsequent license which may or may not be granted, they would have no objections. So in addition to the responses that we received from the responsible authorities, we also received 3 representations or objections from people who live in the locality of the Woodyard. So they can be seen in the bundle from page 203 onwards. So I'm conscious that a number of the those who submitted their objections are present with us today. So if I just briefly summarise the contents of those, and then I'm sure that they'll elaborate on that when they have their opportunity to address you. So the first objection, which can be seen at page 203 of the bundle, raised concerns about the venue being close to properties on Chapel Road. At the moment, the premises is up and running, but it's doing so under temporary event notices rather than a premises license. The objector, whose objection can be seen on page 203, have said that while they've been operating under temporary event notices, that it has caused a public nuisance. They've raised concerns that there've been an increase in traffic on Chapel Road. They're concerned about noise. They have raised the issue that things on site have potentially changed since the matter was considered at the planning stage, because they've raised the issue that some of the woodland has been cut down, which has formed a sound corridor, which they say has changed the acoustics of the site and increased the potential for noise issues. They've also raised issues relating to light pollution, and they have said that Worcester is a dark sky area and there are bats that live in that area. The second objection can be seen on page 205 of the bundle. That raised concerns in relation to public nuisance, in particular live music every weekend, causing a disturbance to the village. And then the final objection that we've received can be seen at page 207. Within that objection, their concerns were raised that planning conditions which were originally set at the planning stage haven't been met. They're concerned that it could bring crime and disorder to the local area. They're concerned about an increase in traffic on narrow and windy roads. And they're concerned that a license which extended until 23:55 hours could lead to late night public uses, particularly in relation to noise and light pollution. So they are the objections that we've received as the licensing authority. So there are some plans to assist you in working out where the premises is and how it's laid out. So plans can be seen on page 135, which is associated with the application, which shows the area that would be subject to the license. Plans on page 137 show the internal layout of the premises. And then at the back of your bundle, on page 209 is a map of the area showing where the premises sits in relation to some of the surrounding properties. So the next section of the report at point 8 onwards is an overview of the council's licensing policy, which I don't propose to go through in any detail, but is there should you wish to refer to it, and covers the interpretations of the 4 licensing objectives that we discussed earlier. So to sum up, on page 119, in the section entitled Determination. Basically, it's for the subject committee to consider the application and determine whether it wants to grant the application, subject to conditions relevant to the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives that we've mentioned, or whether it wishes to refuse the application. And I think, sir, that concludes my report.
Thank you. You can.
Sorry, can
Harry, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, does the applicant have anything to say specifically in relation to the license officer's report?
No.
Excellent, sorry.
Sorry, is this an actual dark sky area designated, or is this an area that just happens to have dark skies?
I don't know the exact answer to that, unfortunately. So that was literally the wording that was used by the objector, that it was a dark sky area. Whether they were talking colloquially that it is an area which doesn't have much light presently, or whether it's an official dark sky area, I'm not sure.
On the microphone.
I'm just noticing that the surname of one of the objectors is the same surname as yourself. Is that a coincidence?
He's my cousin.
Okay, fine. Thank you. And the other one was, how many events on any day are you proposing to hold?
We currently have planning for weddings only, weekend only.
And just one weekend per day? And one wedding per day? Or is
One
it-
wedding per weekend.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that. Now the applicant. Yep. The floor's yours. Put forward your case, please.
Thank you very much for considering our application today. Under the premises license, we're looking to be able to have the sale of alcohol, music and entertainment. On the music and entertainment side to date, there are some planning restrictions. For example, no amplified music outside of the building. We're not looking to change any of this. It's purely because we have a license playing music to the general public or private guests. And we have a permanently installed sound system as per the planning restrictions. And various acoustic reports were done as part of the planning application, as well as by residents of Chapel Road themselves, both of which were considered when planning was granted, and the recommendations of those have all been installed and been monitored in the events that have taken place in terms of weddings at the weekend. To date, from the music and entertainment side of things, that under our temporary events notices, we've had no official or unofficial complaints of music being heard from any property around the building. And as previously mentioned, there's been no amplified outdoor music played at the venue. In regards to the sale of alcohol, we have myself, I have a DPS holder, 5 years in hospitality experience. Our venue manager, Emily, has 10 years in hospitality, 5 in weddings. And we have bar managers, all with DPS holders, and approaching 10 years in themselves of wedding experience. And we feel that there's a lot of experience managing the sale of alcohol on site. And they've already demonstrated that experience through the management of various weddings under a temporary events notice. In regards to some of the points raised, we do already have a Challenge 25 CCTV notices displayed and contact details available for taxis and anyone else in terms of DPS holders, etc. on site. I can't shed any light, ironically, on the dark sky area, whether that's official or not at the moment. In response to some of the non-premises license statements in regards to planning conditions, previously mentioned, live music outside would be unamplified. There has been some issues over traffic exiting the park. Various issues with signage have been an issue, which are now fixed. And in the last 3 weeks, we've had 2 weddings and all the traffic seems to be following the signage, and we haven't had any more reports from anyone on Chapel Road stating that that has been any different. Ecology and light pollution and the forestry side of things, we have had a section of forestry removed. But I read through the both the audio reports that were done as part of the planning, and it's done on a distance basis, and it's not including any barriers in between. So whether there's forestry there or not is that the audio report would stand up whether there's woodland there or not. The GPS holders on site also manage obviously large groups of people, some which are staying on site, which is about a third of the guests attending. We also have numerous coaches, minibuses and taxi services coming in and out, and we've arranged for all of them to make sure they know the way in and the right way out. Noise, yeah, I think we can manage as best we can in terms of signage and making sure that people move the right way on a public road when they get to a public road. But beyond that, we have no jurisdiction. Noise, as I mentioned, we've got an internal system which does limit the noise above a certain level, which is active all the time. Any band has to plug into it as part of their rules and regulations, the terms and conditions that the couple sign up to. And that is managed by Emily on site, and she can do a sound check with them to make sure all the levels are right. And even during a set, she is able to check on all of those at any point as well. I don't think there's anything else at this time I can address, but I'm happy to answer any other further questions.
We can get back to you if we need to. I just have a couple of things. The number of guests you can have at a wedding, what is your maximum number?
Planning condition for 110.
110. And if those people are not going to come in 110 vehicles, presumably they will share, how many can you park?
I think from memory on the planning side, it was 50 to 60 spaces with a small bit of over.
Plus, of course, you've then got staff.
For staff, exactly.
Staff who have to park, etc., etc.
Sorry to interrupt. Does the licensing officer have any questions based on what the applicant has just said?
No, I don't. Thank you. No.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Emily, any questions?
You have, yeah, just
Yeah,
one.
she does.
No, I can't think of it. With regards to the road up to the premises, is there any way that you could install or have some parking bays to make it a little bit easier? I'm just
Easier for what? Sorry.
for traffic congestion, is it?
So the site currently runs on a one-way system.
Okay.
The entrance is on the west side of Worcester Park, comes down the drive, enters the car park, which is bunded to save any noise or headlamps light going out across the fields, as well as opposite the wedding venue as well itself. It's designed to be 2 meters high as part of the planning for noise and light, etc., to be able to travel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Harry.
Hello. Yeah, I read through your paperwork. I was very impressed. I didn't notice a written good neighbour strategy stroke policy. Do you actually have, as an organisation, an actual written policy in your training and induction to your staff regarding how to facilitate good neighbourly behaviour?
I must apologise. I should probably read back through, but I'm fairly sure we do have signage and goodwill on the exit door of letting people know to be neighbourly, leave quietly, and obviously to follow the signage on the exit route. But without going back through it now, I couldn't be 100% sure, but I'm fairly sure there was something in there on that.
And that's something I would always recommend. So that it is part of the training.
The only reason I say that is because I think we put in a point about being able to give people lollipops to keep their mouth shut.
Excellent. Actually, perhaps you can help me. I was involved in the planning not so long ago with somebody of your surname. Do you run the glamping business, or is
No.
it your cousin?
It's my second cousin.
Is it the same cousin who has made the objection?
No.
All right, because narrow roads was a very salient point in that planning application. So I was just wondering if there was any crossover there.
So one of the reasons for having the one-way system is being able to have the ability for the cars to go in one way and out the other, and not crossing past taxis going in and out of the same exit and entrance. During the planning phase, there was objections from Chapel Road because of the nature of the narrow lane. So we've then obviously put signage up to direct people, and even a gate that passes across the exit road to indicate, basically start to push people round the corner to go in the right direction as per planning.
Thank you very much.
I just have a quick
Yeah.
question. You made reference to acoustic reports. Do you have copies of that? Have those been provided to the licensing officer?
I don't, they are on the planning portal, but I'm happy to forward those on. I don't have any with me today.
No worries. Sorry, just to move on, the objectors will have a chance to speak, so I want this to be well ordered. I just want to stress that you can ask any questions about what the applicant has just said. You will have an opportunity to speak and present your own case afterwards, but any questions you have for the applicant, we'll start with you, madam.
I would just say, Charlotte Gurney, resident on Chapel Road, I would just say that, just talking about the gate and the overall listening to what I'm hearing here, for me, the licensing is one component, but actually the access of Chapel Road is much more important, I think, to the local community.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have any specific questions about what the applicant has?
So Bruce picked up on the fact that he has a gate in place which tries to angle people that have been at the venue, people leaving, etc., perhaps even deliveries and all the services staff to leave turning right-handed and not to go down Chapel Road. And unfortunately, with the best will in the world, it's far too easy to go around. I have seen, let's just say, a number of people using the site doing exactly that and using therefore Chapel Road and not adhering to the signage. Now, I'm not saying that there's fault with the signage, but I'm saying this is an important point, and the way people leave the venue is really important.
So you don't have a specific question for the applicant?
So I would say to the applicant, let's consider how people are going to actually leave. Are you going to improve the exit?
Sorry to interrupt. I guess you can say that for your opportunity to speak. I was looking for more specific targeted questions based on what the applicant has said. So noted, you have an opportunity to speak later on. Does the gentleman have any specific questions? No?
Okay. Yes, sorry, please.
Re-noise. Do you have automatic cutouts when a certain decibel level is reached? Because I know a lot of venues do have that.
We considered it, but we actually went for a more expensive option, which simply just limits the noise, which is it's not like it would wait 5 seconds. It would always just limit the noise to a certain level anyway, even if you were to turn the noise up on the amplifier, because it's plugged into our system. It squashes the waves and limits the noise without killing the party, if you like, of having cutouts and then resetting and all of the kind of the delayed response that has.
Okay.
So now we'll move on to the objectives.
Objections, please.
Can I just want you to limit your objections to 5 minutes, if that's all right, please? Thank you. You may proceed, madam.
Okay, thank you. So just working through some of the objections that have been raised already, but just to flesh them out. I think that the exit, the way that people leave the premises is paramount to the local community. Just on Saturday night alone, we heard at least 40 cars leaving the venue late at night, going down Chapel Road. And just for those of you who haven't seen Chapel Road, it's extremely narrow. There are very few places to park. And it is a very quiet lane, country, rural lane. And late at night.
Sorry, could you clarify late at night? What time are you?
So leaving the venue this weekend,
Yeah.
11:30.
Okay, so after 11, before midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, that doesn't allow for the service vehicle.
No. Public sector.
Fine, but
Yeah.
it is also, unfortunately, that road's being used for service vehicles and people coming and going from the site, and that's not late at night, that's throughout the day. And unfortunately, they're coming off busy main roads, they're approaching a wedding venue. Understandably, they're going at pace down a very tiny road, where I often walk with young children on bicycles, dogs, etc. And so does the local community. So I think it's really addressing the use and really, really appreciating the nature of this rural community and this rural lane in particular. I know that there've been various objections around noise, and that is due to, well, you know, this is a venue, so you're going to appreciate noise, but unfortunately, due to the felling of trees on the site, I think there's been an objection on that front, but the fact that the noise can now travel even worse across and down this area, that is not thought to be goodwill, good response to the license that was, or the permission that was granted with the planning a year or so ago. So with that in mind, I think the crime and disorder is a valid point in this rural community. It's 30 minutes from Norwich. You can only get there by car. You cannot get there by public transport. By attracting more people to this site, where drink and alcohol, etc., is involved, you are only encouraging drink driving and reckless behaviour, noisy behaviour, antisocial behaviour to a rural, quiet area where people who live there were not expecting this kind of level of disruption. And there, of course, is a public safety element to that as well. So I think, to conclude, it's the use and really considering the neighbourly affliction that this has. And I would say at the moment, politely, that the signage on Chapel Road is a non-committal form of signage. It does not inflict, it does not encourage people to leave the way they've been desired. Actually, it's very easy to drive straight round, as I have seen so many people do as I walk up and down the footpath that's involved. So that's all from me.
Thank you. Does the gentleman have anything to say?
Good afternoon to you all. I've lived in the village for nearly 27 years now, and I moved to the village because it was a quiet village. Since the venue has been operating, whilst I haven't made any public complaints, I live less than a mile away across 2 fields, and I have heard noise from the venue, and it's gone on late at night. We've put up with that because it's only been every now and again. What's being asked for is every weekend. It's being asked for until 12 o'clock at night. And personally, I don't think that that's good enough in an area where people are living and want to live basically a quiet life. One of the things that's not been mentioned, and I take Mr. Patterson's points that, you know, there has been no objections, but there's been absolutely no mention whatsoever about what decibels are going to be cut off at, how it's going to be managed. Whilst he says his system will manage it, how come I can still hear it from my house? There has been reference to the fact that trees have been cut down. The belt of trees that have been cut down are actually in between my house and his venue. So that again has opened up even more path for sound, noise and pollution. So that's just purely my objection. I didn't move to a quiet area to put up with noise like that every weekend.
Thank you. I will now refer back to the chairman, who will invite questions from any of the parties based on what they've said. So it's up to you.
I just have one question. I just need to try and clarify this signage that you've mentioned, that I think the wording was that it's probably not adequate or not correct or whatever way. You're obviously, Mr. Beck's going to defend the fact that it is there. James, have we seen pictures of this signage? Have you seen it?
I haven't, sir, no.
Are there any pictures that you have of the signage that we could just maybe have a look at if people are comfortable with that? And I fully appreciate one person's view is, you know.
Sorry, yes, I do have
Yeah.
have a picture. I'm happy to bring that up and pass that around. Whichever way that needs to.
Whichever, yeah.
Okay. That it simply displays the exit, what you see on the exit route, which was what was advised by the planning committee. What you won't be able to see on that picture is the signs that face outwards to stop people from going in that direction.
So on the other side of those signs are more signs.
No, sorry, as you look on the picture, it's on the right-hand side of the actual road side,
Right.
but facing out to the road.
Okay. And what does that actually say on that sign?
It says no left turn
All
in
routes
a,
turn right only. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is placed, that signage is placed on the gate.
yes, and that gate is put across the road at an
Right.
angle to try to guide people down Mill Road.
So all routes turn right only. Okay. Do you want to just, can I show the?
It's okay. I know what it looks like. I walk past it every day.
Yeah.
So you're, that is what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. But I would add, it only looks like that when the gate is actually open. And the gate is 99% of the time shut. So you won't see that sign because the gate's against the hedge. And the exit sign on the right-hand side is absolutely minute.
So that gate at the moment is closed. You're saying when it's open, it's back against the hedge?
Yes,
When-
yes.
And
During
what
the
you're
week.
saying then, you don't see it.
During the week, it is, moved back to the hedge. And then when an event is on, we open that back up.
So if I drove out of there, that sign would be on my left-hand side and it would point down the lane saying all routes turn right only.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Anybody?
I'd just like to comment on the other signs going in is council protocol. That's the size that they suggested that we get. I can't, no more than that.
One question of regards to how many weddings per weekend. Is there any suggestion that that might increase?
Not at this stage, no.
And James, would that make any difference with regards to the licence?
It wouldn't make any difference to the license unless there was a condition on there which restricted them to a certain number of
Okay.
events
Right,
on that
brilliant.
license. But it may make a difference from a planning perspective if there's particular planning conditions on there.
The current planning and the current license application are both for weekend only.
One wedding? Just one wedding? That's on there?
So, sorry. So not during the week? No weddings during the week?
No,
Nothing else during the week?
other than other agricultural farming.
Yeah, so you just want to use the venue at weekend only?
Yeah,
Yes, so the application is purely for.
For weekend only, yeah, that's what I'm
Saturdays and
just
Sundays.
clarifying that that's what we're, and just upon access, signage, noise, possible crime and disorder, and the public safety within the area. Am I Happy with that? Okay, fine. Sorry, you want to speak?
I think that's fair. Thank you. My worry would be that that's great that this gate is trying to direct traffic reasonably ineffectively, I would argue, with 40 cars on Saturday night. So that happens at weekends, but there's nothing in place, nothing effective in place during the week that allows for all the traffic to come up and down. So the vehicles that clean, the vehicles that, the services that go into this venue, which are happening all the time down this tiny, unsuitable road, upsetting locals. There is nothing in place to stop that traffic. And that, of course, is essential for that Saturday night event.
Okay, thank you.
May I comment
Yeah,
on
please
that?
do, yeah.
As you know, there's forestry work going on at the moment. And you also know that the lorries should not be going down Chapel Road and Mill Road. So we are actually currently operating during the week, entry and exit for those lorries to go out the west gate. But obviously with all of that traffic going on that side, there is entry and exit from the east side purely from a safety perspective of lumber and forestry vehicles not having to keep passing each other, etc. So that is a temporary thing, and then it'll go back to obviously the one-way setup, if that makes sense.
Previously, unfortunately, the Easy Cleans, all of those vehicles, they beetle down that Chapel Road, and unfortunately they don't use any other thing. Maybe that's sat nav, maybe whatever reason that is. But unfortunately, even prior to felling trees, we were having a lot of traffic down Chapel Road, hence the objections.
Can I, a couple of other little points. It really regards the fact that you're looking to operate the wedding venue on Saturdays and maybe Sundays as well, but anyway, over a weekend period and not during the week. So without giving too much sensitivity away of where you keep everything, I presume you store all of the tables, chairs, equipment, cutlery, everything is stored for a whole week on site, which you then get out when you need it for the weekend.
Some of it, some not. So some couples may want different chairs, different tables, different cutlery, different crockery, different glassware, etc.
Yeah.
And that would come in from
During the week.
On a Friday, Thursday, depending on the day.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff we provide. For example, ceremony chairs we provide.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's down to the couple's preference. But yes, the idea is that there is an entrance and an exit.
And all the bar equipment, the glasses, the alcohol, it's all brought in for that specific function?
A lot of the equipment is set in there. There will be obviously beer, kegs, bottles, etc. going in and out. Glassware currently is taken in and out, but with the same company that normally does the crockery and the cutlery and all the other glassware as well. But we are looking at taking that in-house.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
When it comes to actually stocking the bar, we don't have big dray lorries coming in with beer barrels. It's actually sent to the bar company's main head office, and then it's brought over in a small van.
Right, okay. So it would be fair to say that in order for the weddings, maybe over the weekend, to function correctly, a lot of the equipment and the services that are used have to come in and have to go out again. Laundry, linen, tablecloths, that kind of thing, all have to go out after the wedding and be transported back and forth down this road.
On a Sunday, Monday, yes, after the event, obviously, when everything's packed down, things will have to be taken away, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, no, I've got that, that's fine. Sorry, I just needed to clarify something on that. Any other questions? Anybody want any clarification? Yes, please do, yeah.
Sorry, I just have one more based on the mention of decibel levels. That was part of our planning, which is limited within the building, which then, as per the acoustic reports, suggests would then be the difference of outside noise levels being heard.
But we haven't seen those.
No, you haven't. But
right.
But that it was part of the original planning
original
process.
planning, they would have been in on that.
Yes.
that level was in on the planning application?
Yes,
Which is granted.
yes.
Okay, but you haven't seen the decibel level?
I haven't seen that. So the method statement that is within the pack, I noticed that one of the appendices was a noise plan, but doesn't seem to be in the pack. So I don't know whether you submitted that separately or.
It's definitely on the planning portal, both of them, because I looked them up recently, but I can, yeah, certainly make sure they make their way to you.
I think Appendix 2 is marked as being in the noise management plan, but included within the bundle.
Yeah, page 166. It's just blank.
As is.
Traffic and plan. Well, that's up to James. Has he seen one? No, they're not there.
On each page.
166, 167.
Yeah, I can make sure I get those across to you, all of the appendixes, but looks like they're missing on here. As well as actually we did actually have a report done on Saturday just gone, and there was a wedding, and obviously the forestry work has been done, so I can send that over at the same time. And just for clarity on the decibel level, it's limited to 90 within the building.
90.
Yeah, and then we have to, I think it's 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, it then changes to 83 decibels, and we have to keep doors closed and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Do you know what the recommended is? The government, right? There's obviously some legislation, some regulation, you can't go above.
Yes, so the acoustic report makes reference to
It
those
does.
levels, and
Yeah.
that's how they came up with the
Okay.
83.
So you're below the
Going
level.
down,
that
yeah,
you could go
going
to.
down to 83.
But we haven't seen that. Okay. Yeah, please.
Just to say that decibels between 83 and 90 actually expands more than it actually would show to somebody who doesn't understand the decibel. The way decibels work, if I'm right, is it increases as you go higher up the scale. I should know this because I used to run motor racing circuits. So there is a big difference, as I understand it, between 83 and 90. So that is quite a drop, isn't it? And that is indoors only. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Last opportunity to ask any question? No, everybody's fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate, the panel will now retire to consider this matter in private. So after they leave, the hearing will formally end and you can leave the site. Like I explained before, a decision notice should be with the applicant within 5 working days. Please note that I will retire with the panel, as will my colleagues. I won't be involved in the decision making at all. I'm just there to provide legal advice, and the legal advice I will be providing will be in relation to the Licensing Act 2003 and the 4 licensing principles. I also intend to make reference to the case of Hope and Glory and the case of Thwaite in providing advice to the subcommittee. I hope that's clear. Thank you.
Sorry to interject, if I might. The decision notice is available on the NNDC website for this, which could be presented to members if that is helpful in your deliberations at all. It gives all the planning discharges for the noise limitation.
You've actually found it.
Yeah, I found it because it's on the NNDC planning portal. So I could have that printed off to members if that is
If you
helpful
could,
for
I'd
your decision
appreciate
making.
Yeah, please.
Can I
Yeah.
quickly ask? You're having weddings on a Sunday, and St. Peter's Church is very close to your venue.
We tend to have them on a Saturday, actually, but they are available on a Sunday because it's weekends. But
So would it interfere with services at St. Peter's Church, Norfolk?
I don't think
noise-wise?
so.
I've just seen. I've just got it on Google Earth, and I noticed St. Peter's Church is very close to the venue.
I would say that the Virgin St Mary in Worcester is probably closer. But the road network is what it is around there. But in terms of noise, yeah. Obviously, there's noise reports that you'll see that will explain the methods.
Sorry about that. I just, well, hold on. Is that going to affect it?
Well, I presume the church service is in the morning, and if you're doing a wedding, it would probably be afternoon, evening. That'd be fair to say.
Yes, it tends to be just after lunchtime. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
The church hasn't objected, obviously, so.
There isn't anything in there. No, okay. Just go around the table. Jack, any,
Nothing further from me, thank you.
thank you. Anything from anything else you want to finalise? Anything else? Yes,
There
please.
is just one thing.
Yeah.
We've recently changed our postcode officially on the Royal Mail system to end in NRS, which is the entrance to the west gate rather than the east gate. So in terms of traffic, when it comes to services and guests, there is now a higher likelihood that they will be entering into the one-way system at the right end rather than the wrong end at the west gate rather than the east gate, which should hopefully help the traffic on Chapel Road. Yeah, they've all been emailed.